Hello, and welcome to Everything Fear's The Shed of Dread. I'm Kit Tinsley, host of the Everything Fear podcast. Everything Fear is dedicated to all things horror. If that's of interest to you, I'll put a link down in the description below. So, this video, we're looking at a new horror movie that came out on DVD and on demand this week, called The Haunting of Molly Bannister. Let's check it out.
I don't know. I can ask, but I don't know what they'll say.
Molly? Who are you talking to, darling?
Molly.
Dorothy.
It's getting worse. That thing is alive, like what he said it is.
I think our daughter is possessed by something. Something that came in that thing.
I don't feel safe here, Mum.
No. There's something wrong with my daughter.
Be careful.
So what now?
So, The Haunting of Molly Bannister is a low-budget British horror movie that has been released on DVD and on demand this week. The film is written and directed by Dixon and produced by Myco Films. The film is a spin-off to Dixon's earlier film Slasher House 2, although you don't need to have seen this film, as The Haunting of Molly Bannister serves as a prequel/origin story for one of the characters in that film. The film follows the Bannister family, whose youngest daughter, Molly, has been behaving increasingly strangely since she got a mysterious doll for Christmas. The stresses of Molly's behaviour have already cost the family one daughter, and the parents have separated. This is where the story starts. Is there something creepy going on with this doll, or is it all in their minds? First, let's start by saying that this is a very low-budget film, and therefore we can't possibly compare it to bigger budget films. It would be completely unfair to do that. Does this low budget impact on the film? Of course it does. Just the nature of it means that there are some sequences that feel rushed, like perhaps the director would have liked to have had more time to work on them. And this can mean that sometimes some of the performances come across as a little off. But on the whole, the acting is quite good in this film. I mean, I'm sure that there are terrible takes of even the greatest actors. It's just that in a big budget film they have time to do take after take after take until they get it right. Dixon doesn't have the luxury with the budget on this film. What The Haunting of Molly Bannister does have is a solid story and some genuinely creepy scenes and some really nice stylistic touches. There are some wonderfully composed shots within this movie. The use of lighting in this film is great. It uses a lot of stylized lighting, like over-the-top greens and reds. This gives the whole thing kind of one dreamlike kind of feel, and also it's very reminiscent and very retro to the sort of horror movies of the 70s and 80s. Things like Suspiria with its over-the-top use of colour, or the Nightmare on Elm Street films later in the series where they introduced reds, greens and purples to indicate when it was a dream sequence. I particularly liked this use of colour in the film The Haunting of Molly Bannister. There's also a demon entity within the house that is connected to Molly and the doll, and this is done particularly well. It's quite creepy. It's like a doll masked face creature with this long black hair and these weird body movements, and it's reminiscent of either the sort of J-horror kind of monsters or the creatures we more normally see in Spanish horror lately. The acting is pretty solid throughout the film, bar the few occasions where obviously there wasn't enough time to get a second take. In particular, Emmeline Hartley, who plays the Bannisters' eldest daughter Dorothy, stands out. Her character and her performance drive a lot of the film forward, and I thought she was top-notch throughout. She does a great job. As I say, this is not a big-budget film, but MJ Dixon has made quite a few features previously, and his experience of making features shows in this film. On the whole, I really enjoyed it, and I particularly like the end credit sequence with its retro synth music and title cards playing as a character is wheeled around a mental asylum, and the lines "Molly Bannister will return" coming up at the end. I thought it was a nice retro touch. The whole film has a very nice retro quality to it. So if you're looking for an interesting and creepy indie film to watch, I would highly recommend giving The Haunting of Molly Bannister a try. It's available now. It was released on Monday. It's available from places like, in the UK, places like Asda, HMV, all these normal places on DVD, and it's on video on demand on Amazon. And I believe it will soon be getting a US release in the very near future. So please check it out. I will be interviewing MJ Dixon in a few weeks on the Everything Fear podcast, so that's something to look forward to. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, if you could possibly give us a like, subscribe, and tap that bell icon to be notified when we upload future content, that'd be great. Until then, stay scared.